Hello everyone, this is Karen.
I am Hurricane Shane.
Today we're looking at part 1 of how are typhoons and hurricanes named? And the vocabulary words are scary.
Scary.
Frank enjoys watching scary movies.
Complicated.
Complicated.
The problem is too complicated for me to solve.
Aww.
I'm dumb.
Aw, don't say that. Politician.
Politician.
It's not always easy to trust what politicians say.
True. Decade.
Decade.
The couple married over a decade ago.
Aww. Cycle.
Cycle.
Our science teacher explained to us nature's cycle of life and death.
Interesting.
So we're understanding something about the nature, right?
About nature, yes. Typhoons and hurricanes.
That's right.
So in the U.S., we say hurricanes, right? And then when I moved to Taiwan, I found that, they call it typhoon.
That's right.
Here.
And then you notice how every time we have a typhoon or every time we have a hurricane, they always have a name.
Yes, so this started in Australia. It's very funny. A meteorologist would name hurricanes after politicians that he didn't like.
Or women.
Or women, right? And then in the 40s, they would continue to name hurricanes after their wives and after their girlfriends.
So that's how they got the names. That's really funny.
Yeah, I guess back then, too, most of these meteorologists were men, right?
You're right.
Now we have men and women.
Well, I guess they do have a point because they feel like if we give the typhoon or hurricanes a name instead of just giving you the location, people can kind of remember them a little bit better.
Yeah.
Right?
I think it makes them a bit scarier, though.
With a name?
Yeah, I think when something has a name, it seems more, I don't know, intimidating.
Typhoon Shane.
Yeah, Hurricane Shane. See,
Yeah, you're
rhymes.
right.
Okay, let's learn more about typhoons and hurricanes and how we name them.
All right.
How are typhoons and hurricanes named? Do the names Dennis, Nina, and Maria sound scary to you? Well, they should. All three are the names of deadly typhoons or hurricanes. But why do these scary storms have such safe-sounding names? The answer can be either complicated or simple, depending on where the storm occurs.
Today's lesson is called, How are Typhoons and Hurricanes Named? Part 1. Hello everyone, my name is Jeff.
And I'm Mike. Yes, of course, we have typhoons and hurricanes around the world. Dozens or probably hundreds every year. The big ones make the news and they often come with a name, right? The famous Hurricane Katrina that hit New Orleans around 10 years ago or so has a famous name. People even now, if you go to New Orleans, they say, oh, during Katrina, we had to, shelter in our home. They don't even have to say the name hurricane, just the name of it, Katrina, is enough. But where do these names come from?
Well, I'm from a state in the United States that gets tons of hurricanes.
That's Florida.
So I already know the answer to this question, okay? But you guys, you're going to find out today. It's going to be super, super fun. By the way, we're talking about tropical cyclones here. Very big and powerful storms, okay? In the Atlantic Ocean and around North America in general. These storms are called hurricanes. Here in the Pacific, around Taiwan and Asia, we call them typhoons. But they're pretty much the same things. Anyways, let's go ahead and start our article. It begins with this question. Do the names Dennis, Nina, and Maria sound scary to you? No, but if you were to say Hurricane Dennis, Typhoon Nina, Hurricane Maria, yes, I might get scared because that kind of sounds scary to me. If something is scary, everyone, it causes you to be afraid or frightened or scared. Yes, here we have the adjective scary. Scary movies, let's say, make you scared or afraid or frightened or frightful. I think you guys get the idea. And apparently Frank, a person named Frank, enjoys watching scary movies. He loves these movies with monsters and a lot of suspense. And oh gosh, I'm not a fan of scary movies, but Frank Sure is.
And those names, Dennis, Nina, Maria, they're not scary names like Dracula or some Voldemort or something like that. So normally you wouldn't think those very common first names would be scary. Well, the article says, well, they should. Those names should scare you. And we find out why. All three are the names of deadly typhoons or hurricanes. Yes, as you mentioned, they are famous typhoons or hurricanes. They are also normal first names, but we also have typhoons, hurricanes, big storms named after them. So why those names? It says, but why do these scary storms have such safe-sounding names, have such normal-sounding names?
Well, the answer can be either complicated or simple, depending on where the storm occurs. And by the way, the names themselves aren't bad. Further, these storms are named before they cause the wreckage and damage that they do cause. So the name's not to blame. It's the storm that's actually scary.
That's right. But the reasons the names are chosen can be either complicated or simple. Something simple is easy to understand. There isn't a lot there to confuse you. Almost anyone can get it in a short period of time. Something complicated, though, that's the opposite. This adjective means complex, difficult to understand, many different parts to learn about, right? If you're doing something complicated, you should probably save a lot of time because it's not going to be easy or simple. For example, the problem is too complicated for me to solve. I might have to call an expert or do a lot of online Googling to get the answer, but it's not easy. All right, let's take a quick break, and we'll be back with more about storm names.
The Rubik's Cube, huh? They got you.
Oh, it's so
Couldn't do it.
complicated.
Yeah.
Gosh.
Hello， 大家好，我是 Hanny。同学们有没有好奇过台风是怎么命名的呢？像娜丽、谭美、燕子这些名字到底怎么来的啊？好，我们这2天的课文是要介绍台风和飓风的命名方式。其实台风 typhoon 跟飓风 hurricane 都是热带气旋，也就是热带海洋上形成的低气压，只是在不同地区有不同的名称。在西太平洋形成的称为 typhoon， 那么在大西洋形成的是被称为 hurricane。如果是发生在印度洋，则是被称为气旋 cyclone。好，那我们顺便学一下。Tropical cyclone 就是指热带气旋。课文一开始提到说，像 Dennis、Nina、Maria 这些人名听起来一点都不吓人，对不对？可是其实他们都是致命台风、致命飓风的名字。那为什么他们会有这么无害、听起来很安全的名字呢？这个答案啊，其实可以很复杂，也可以很简单。它其实是取决于风暴发生的地点。好，先来看2个单字 ，scary。Scary 它是形容可怕的、恐怖的。Jeff 老师说的 frightful 它是拼作 frighftful， 这个字也可以用来形容可怕的。下一个单字 complicated 它是形容词，形容复杂的、难懂的。它的动词 complicate 就用来表达使什么复杂化，使什么难以理解。那么补充单字 deadly 它是形容致命的。介华课文中
How are typhoons and hurricanes named? The idea of naming storms after people seems to have originated in the 1890s, when an Australian meteorologist began naming storms after politicians he didn't like and women. In the 1940s, as meteorologists continued to name storms after their girlfriends or wives, this practice became a system. They thought women's names were easier to transmit over the radio than names based on a storm's location.
Okay, everyone, today we're talking about the naming of typhoons and hurricanes. Let's keep on reading. The idea of naming storms after people seems to have originated in the 1890s when an Australian meteorologist began naming storms after politicians he didn't like and also women. Interesting. Politicians he didn't like and then women. I don't know what to make of this, but I do know what a politician is. Yes, the word is politician. It's a noun. A politician is a person who makes laws. They're a lawmaker. Usually a politician is elected. People want this person to make their laws or their policies. But to be very simple, usually a politician is a person who works in a government who has been elected, and this person either makes laws or shapes policy. By the way, here the word policy and law mean about the same thing. Anyways, for example, it's not always easy to trust what politicians say.
That's right.
They lie a lot.
Well, they want your vote, so they tell you what you want to hear. All right, so this meteorologist, someone who studies climate and weather activity, decided to name some storms after politicians and women. It says in the 1940s, as meteorologists continued to name storms after their girlfriends or wives, this practice became a system. It says they thought women's names were easier to transmit over the radio than names based on a storm's location. So instead of calling a storm 4 north by 7 west or something, they decided to call it Storm Jennifer or Storm Susan or something like that. I guess I could see that. And this would be especially useful when you're transmitting the name of the storm over the radio. When you're calling boats who might be out there on the ocean in the storm, it's easier to use a simple short name than a sort of scientific term for the storm. I guess I can understand that.
Thank you for naming the storm, but could you also tell me where it is? I'm in a boat. Knowing the location of that storm might save my life. Anyways, it's kind of strange, but this is where it all got started, i.e. the naming of hurricanes or typhoons. Anyways, let's go ahead and take a break, and after that we'll come back and learn some more.
为什么会用一点都不吓人的人名来帮风暴命名呢？课文提到说，这个做法似乎是源自于1890年代，当时有一位澳洲气象学家开始用他不喜欢的政治人物和女性来称呼风暴。那到了1940年代，气象学家继续用他们女朋友或是妻子的名字来替风暴命名，于是这个做法就变成一套系统了。他们认为透过广播在传送风暴资讯的时候，女性的名字当然会比那些根据风暴位置所取的名字更容易传播出去。对对一般民众而言，人名确实会比那些气象术语好记多了。那这边有一个单字 politician， 它表示政治人物。那么 Jeff 老师说的 lawmaker 它是拼作Lawmaker 这个字就表示立法者，也就是立法委员。那在看美国新闻的时候，他们也会用这个字来指这个美国国会议员。好，再看补充单字 meteorologist 这个字表示气象学者。那么 transmit 这个动词表示传播或是传送。接话课文中。
How are typhoons and hurricanes named? Around a decade later, the United States National Weather Service created a list of female names to use for storms, adding male names to the list later on. Now America uses a system of 6 alphabetical lists, each with 21 names. Names starting with Q, U, X, Y, and Z aren't included because they're uncommon in English. Every year, a different list is used, with the cycle repeating itself every 6 years. The lists change only if there's a particularly bad storm, which is why you won't be seeing another Hurricane Katrina or Sandy.
Everyone, before the break there, we got to around the year 1940 in the history of naming storms, naming typhoons and hurricanes. Now, let's move forward about 10 years or a decade. Around a decade later, the United States National Weather Service created a list of female names to use for storms, adding male names to the list later on. So at first, they stuck with this convention of naming these storms after women, and then later on, I guess they evened things up by adding male names to this list.
But it took about a decade for this to happen, so we're going from the 1940s into the 1950s. As you mentioned, a decade is 10 years. It's a 10-year period. We often use this word to talk in sort of a historical kind of way. During the decade of the 1940s, the world was torn up by a big world war. But you can also use it to talk about any period. If you lived in a certain place for a decade. Oh, I lived in America for a decade from 2008 to 2018 or something like that. It's just a period of 10 years. For example, the couple married over a decade ago or over 10 years ago. So there we go. Now it says now, so we're moving up into the modern era. It says now America uses a system of 6 alphabetical lists, each with 21 names. So they've kind of come up with a system nowadays, so they're not just picking names out of the air. They have these 6 lists. There are 21 names on them, and they sort of rotate them every few years. And this is interesting. Names starting with Q, U, X, Y, and Z aren't included because they're uncommon in English. Yeah, not a lot of names start with those letters, so they leave those ones out. You'll never see a Hurricane Quincy or a Hurricane Ursula.
There are 26 letters in the alphabet. Notice there are 21 names on the list. That's the case because they use every letter except for the ones we just mentioned, those 5, because there aren't a lot of names that start with those letters. Anyways, every year, a different list is used with the cycle repeating itself after every 6 years. And here we have the noun cycle to talk about. Here we're not talking about bikes or anything like that, although the wheels on a bike do go round and round, not unlike a cycle comes around and around. Yes, the word cycle, it's a noun. Here a cycle is a sequence, usually a sequence of events or things that produces itself and that repeats itself over and over again. Here we've got these lists. They go around, they come around, and they go around over and over again in a cycle, something that repeats itself. For example, our science teacher explained to us nature's cycle of life and death. Yes, nature creates life and then life goes away, but then it comes back again. That's the cycle of life.
All right. Now it says the lists change only if there's a particularly bad storm, which is why you won't be seeing another Hurricane Katrina or Sandy. Those were big, bad storms that caused a lot of destruction. There's a long history with those storms. That's why those names will sort of be retired, and I guess they'll come up with another K name, another S name. But we have to remember that most of the storms that appear every year stay out in the ocean, don't hurt anyone, don't really make the news. Those names will be repeated. But if it's a big storm that really did damage, they kind of retire the name and then use others. Very interesting stuff.
There
and
you go.
That's it for today, but we'll be having more about storm names tomorrow, and I think we'll be moving to the Asia region to see some storms that hit us.
I think you're right. Yeah. So folks, let's go ahead and take a break, but don't worry, next time we'll have more for you on the naming of hurricanes and typhoons.
好，刚刚说到1940年代，气象学家继续用女友或是妻子的名字来命名风暴，那这个做法变成了一套系统。大约10年之后，美国国家气象局就建立一份女性名字的清单来替风暴命名。那后来还在名单里面加入男性的名字。现在美国就有一套系统，里面有6组按照字母排序的名单，那每一组有21个名字。好，这个名单里面呢是不包含 Q、U、X、Y、Z 开头的名字，因为在英文里面以这些字母开头的名字是很少见的。那么美国国家气象局他们每年就会使用不同的名单，每6年会重复循环一次，只有碰到特别严重的风暴时，名单才会修改。像 Katrina 和 Sandy 都被除名了。Katrina 卡崔娜和 Sandy 山迪这2个飓风都对美国造成很严重的破坏。那么刚刚 Mike 老师还提到说，这个名单他们会重复循环利用。这时候呢 Mike 老师用到 rotate 这个字 R-O-T-A-T-E rotate 它表示旋转转动，那这个字也有轮调循环轮流的意思。好，我们最后来看2个单字 decade 它是名词，表示10年。cycle 这个字也是名词，它表示循环或是周期。那 Jeff 老师在解释单字时用到 sequence 这个字，它是拼作sequence，sequence 表示顺序或是一连串的事物。好，以上是今天的讲解，同学别走开，马上回来哦。大家好，我是 Hanny， 欢迎收看我们的文法单元。今天要介绍的文法重点有5个。第一个是 either A or B， 第二个是 depending on， 第三个是 WH 疑问词引导的名词子句，第四个是 only if， 第5个是 which 代指前方子句的用法。好，我们先来学 either A or B。Either 什么什么 or 什么什么是配对连接词，必须连接对等的字词或是句子。那么 either A or B 就表达不是 A 就是 B，A 或 B 的其中一个。例如 I can't remember his name, it's either Gavin or Greg。我不记得他的名字，不是 Gavin 就是 Greg 吧。好，那要特别注意，如果用 either A or B 来连接主词的时候，动词必须配合最靠近的主词，也就是要配合 be 跟 be 一致。例如 either Sarah or I am going to pick you up tomorrow。 明天不是 Sarah 会去接你，就是我会去接你，反正我们2个其中一个会去接你就对咯。好，那么例句里面最靠近动词的是主词 I， 所以后面搭配的 be 动词是用 am。 接着来学 depending on， 它就表示取决于什么，根据什么什么来看。那么 depending on 它是独立分词片语，后面可以接名词或是动名词或者是名词子句。举例来说 The ferry takes about 1.5 hours depending on weather and sea conditions。 搭那个渡轮一般是要花1个半小时，那这要取决于天气和海况。接着我们来学 WH 疑问词引导的名词子句。 WH 疑问词像是 what、why、where、when、who、which、how 等等，都可以用来引导名词子句，让子句扮演名词的角色。那么 WH 疑问词引导的名词子句可以当主词、当受词或是当主词补语。举例来说 What doesn't kill you makes you stronger。 杀不死你的会让你更强大。每次讲到这句，我都会想到蟑螂小强，你不觉得他们越来越强大了吗？好，那其实这句话呢，常常是用来鼓励人家咬紧牙关，撑过去就会越挫越勇了。那么句子里面的名词子句 What doesn't kill you， 没有杀死你的东西，这个呢是用来当主词，必须把它视为单数，然后后面搭配单数动词 makes。 好，接着我们来学 only if，就表示只有在什么的情况下某事才可能发生。那其中的 only 是用来强调 if 引导的条件句，表达唯有 if 子句的条件先成立，某件事情才会发生。例如 I will forgive you only if you apologize。 只有在你道歉的情况下我才会原谅你，你不道歉我就跟你切八段。好，最后我们来学 which 代指前方子句的用法。关系代名词 which 可以用来带领子句去修饰它前面的事物，就是先行词。那它也可以用来修饰前方整个子句哦。以 which 来代指前方子句的时候，因为你要修饰的那个句子是很明确的对象，我们不需要限定范围，这时候 which 的前面必须加逗号，这就代表说 which 引导这个关系子句呢，是用来补充说明它前面那个句子。好，我们用例句来看会更清楚。Kyle is afraid of the dark, which is why he sleeps with the lights on. Kyle 怕黑，这就是他开灯睡觉的原因。那么句子里面的 which 是用来指前面所提到的那整件事，也就是 Kyle is afraid of the dark， Kyle 怕黑的这件事。然后 which is why he sleeps with the lights on 表示说这件事怕黑的这件事是他开灯睡觉的原因。好，那特别注意哦，其中这个 why he sleeps with the lights on 这是名词子句，我们先前才学到嘛，它在这边是用来当主词补语。好，以上是今天重点整理，我们下次见喽，拜拜。
这就怪了，英文怎么说？
欢迎收看就爱讲英文，我是 Steven，
我是 Kate。
好，今天要学的英文呢，就是如果还蛮常会在悬疑那种电影
悬疑电
对，
影
就会出现的。比如说他们在以为坏人是谁，然后到最后说。这样就很怪，怎么可能？那种感觉。
所以是发现了什么之后才说吗？不是觉得很奇怪的时候说吗？
也是啊，就是你看到这个东西 doesn't make sense，就是
只要你觉得不合理就可以说，
就可以说这一件了。好，第一个呢就是坏人是谁？是他杀的吗？It doesn't add up。It
doesn't add up。
什么意思呢？就是 add up， 就是把1跟1加在一起是2嘛。好，那如果今天我要把这些东西写出来的时候，可是到最后不合理呀，这个东西不合理呀，就是 it doesn't add up。
所以 add up 是把东西加起来。
把加起来的时候还是不合理，我们就很适合讲这一句。It doesn't add up。It
doesn't add up。
然后很多次我们会加一个 just。It just doesn't add up.
It just doesn't add up.
对，这只是个强调式，我还是没有办法去相信，
就是不合理，
就是不合理。
okay.
好，第二个呢是，好，到底是谁杀的？是谁 ？It doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make any sense.
这个意思也是，怎么一点都不合理？
所以 make sense 也是说合理，
对，也是合理。这个
可是跟刚刚那个不一样，对不对 ？make sense 可以说合理。但是 add up 不能说合理，
两个都是跟合理有关系。对，一个只是在强调说我已经把1跟1放在一起，可是还不是2，怎么会是这样子呢？那一个是我已经经过那么多逻辑的参考，为什么到最后它还是怪怪的？它还是没有办法让我觉得这个东西是对的，
所以就都可以说是合理，
都可以说。然后呢，也有另外一个是常用的是。That's so weird.
That's so weird. 这个常听到。
这个还蛮。
那 bizarre 可以吗
？Yeah, that's so bizarre.
所以也是一样的。
也是一样的意思。但是 weird 是比较怪，是一个 negative 的怪。bizarre 感觉是一种，我想知道更多。对，
原来如此。
对，
就是有点神奇的感觉。好，那我们今天学了这么多好奇怪的英文，那我们来看看怎么用吧。Live action.
Why did you take my notebook away?
Me? I'm innocent.
It doesn't add up. I didn't touch it either.
But we're at home by ourselves.
It doesn't make any sense. D. It doesn't add up. 第二 It doesn't make any sense.